Assalamualaikum. Salam sejahtera. My name is Khairul. I'm from University Technology Petronas. Today, on behalf of the other authors, I would like to present our paper titled Teacher's Perspective on the Challenges of Teaching Science and the Use of Internet of Things as a Teaching Aid for Primary School Science Subject in Malaysia. This study is a small-scale study that we look into what are the challenges of teaching science and also what will be the perception of using IoT or Internet of Things as a teaching aid for science subject. And this is the outline. I'm going to talk about the overview firstly, and then I will move on into IoT, looking into IoT in general, in education, and also as a teaching aid. Then I'm going to talk about the methodology of this study, the results, the future works, and also the conclusion. So let me firstly begin with the motivation behind this study. Well, this study is a response to the reports in the media regarding the declining number of STEM students, and it is a concern definitely because of Malaysia is embracing IR 4.0 or Industrial Revolution 4.0. So the country really needs engineers and scientists to face the challenges of IR 4.0. And there are many studies that looking into the reason behind the decline. One of the studies are from Kamsi et al. In 2019, in which that the authors stated students' learning experience, students' perception about STEM, and also their attitude towards STEM subject that is the cause of this decline. And the authors also quoted Boone, in which that Boone stated that our science lesson are lacking in terms of the hands-on scientific investigation. So really lacks practical work and also real-world exposure. So we believe that in order to enhance students' learning experience and also interest towards science, we need to have technology. So in this study, we choose IoT. Because IoT is not regarded as a teaching aid, or in other words, it's not at the same level as other educational technologies such as mobile app, virtual reality, or augmented reality. So that is why we are choosing IoT for this study. The objective of this study is twofold. Number one, we want to understand the challenges of teachers teaching science, and number two, we want to understand the perception of teachers in using IoT as a teaching aid for science teachers. And just to give a little bit of an overview or a background about IoT, IoT or Internet of Things is basically a network of devices in which that these devices consist of or equipped with sensors, and these sensors will capture data from its environment. For example, it could be temperature, it could be humidity, it could be heat, it could be sound, or whatever data that it can capture, and then this data will be sent to a server via the internet, and later on this data that has been captured can be used for various purposes such as analysis, it could be used for visualization and many others. In terms of the applications of IoT, IoT is mainly used in agriculture, in manufacturing, in building management, smart homes. But in education, not that widespread yet. However, there are still IoT implementation in education. It could be implemented in two ways. Number one, as a management tool, like smart class and all that. And number two, as a lesson by itself. For example, in Malaysia, Asia Pacific University and also Inti College have IoT courses to build expertise in IoT. So that is how IoT can be implemented in education. As a teaching aid, Maratha et al. In 2021 proposed that the IoT can be used in science class by having students in groups experiment with the IoT device. So firstly, the teachers will demonstrate the use of the IoT device, and each of the student group will get an IoT device and a smartphone. So this smartphone will be used to display the data that has been captured by the IoT device. So the data captured from the IoT device can be used as part of an experiment, or it can be used as part of learning activities to solve problems. This is the methodology that we use. We adopt a quantitative approach. We send surveys to teachers, primary school teachers, to get their feedbacks on the challenges of teaching science and also the possibility of implementing IoT as a teaching aid in science class. We divided the survey into 3 sections. So the first section is on the teaching aid that the teachers use in class. The second section is more on the challenges of teaching science. And also the third section is on the perception of using IoT in science class. The questionnaire was developed using Google Forms and distributed to teachers using WhatsApp application, and the data that we get, we analyze it using descriptive statistics. So these are the results of our study in terms of the challenges in teaching science. 18 primary school teachers participated in the study. So based on the current teaching aid that they use in class, less than 30% use some kind of educational technology, so which means that there is more room of opportunity to use IoT. And in terms of the challenges, the teachers cited students' interest. Maintaining student interest is definitely a challenge in teaching science. So if students' interest is not there, then it could impact students' learning experience and also performance. In terms of speaking of performance, there are factors that affect students' performance, such as the teachers don't have the capability or lack of ability to provide practical based activities or learning activity. So lack of practical learning activities and lack of real world exposure could impact students' learning, and which is translated into low students' performance. So we believe that using IoT could enhance students' learning experience, could enhance students' interest towards STEM. So the teachers are quite positive in adopting IoT as part of their teaching aid, and they believe that IoT is effective in improving learning activities. So it makes learning activities more fun. Marata in 2021 also conducted a similar study in which that they found that IoT could really impact on students' understanding and also students' interest towards science. So they conducted a study and they sent surveys to teachers as well, and this what the teachers believe, in which that it could impact students' interest towards science. The future work, which is also a limitation of this study, well, the major limitation is the sample size. The sample size is quite small, so we regarded this study as a pilot study. So in the future, we will develop a revised survey and distribute it to a larger sample size. We would conduct interview with assigned teachers and also year 6 students to get more in-depth insights on the adoption of IoT in science. And this study looks into the perception. What we don't focus is on the factors that influence teachers' adoption. So what we are working on right now is to look into the factors. What are the factors that would influence teachers' adoption of IoT as a teaching aid in science? Could it be training? Could it be infrastructure? Could it be school management? Or could be any other factors? So as a conclusion, what we studied is we attempt to understand teachers' challenges in teaching science, and also the possibility of using IoT as a teaching aid. So one of the main challenges that we found that in teaching science is to maintain and enhance students' interest towards science. And we believe that to enhance students' interest and also experience is to use IoT as a teaching aid, in which that using this IoT is able to enhance student experience by providing students with real-world application of science. So overall, primary school teachers believe that the use of IoT as a teaching aid tool could help the students to understand science concept better and improves the students' performance and interest towards science. With that, I end the presentation. Thank you very much.